I'm that Jew.
I'm that Jew.
I'm that Jew. I'm that Jew.
I'm that Jew. I'm that Jew.
We can be that Jew.
I want to say I'm that Jew. I'm that father of two Jew. I'm that brand building Jew. I'm that Lego building Jew. I'm that loving Prince music Jew. I'm all sorts of things, but I decide who I am, and I can get to know you as well. And let's get to know each other.
I'm a very proud Jew. I mean, I was raised in a community of proud Jews, and that's what led me to take this unconventional path and to come here and crawl around in the sand for a few years with my new family.
There are a lot of people that I come across who are clearly in pain, feeling isolated, feeling alienated, feeling betrayed.
I just don't understand what everyone is so fucking surprised about. They hate us. They've been hating us for a long time, and we've allowed them to dictate to the rest of the world who we are. You don't just wake up one day and you're a proud Jew. This type of pride comes with knowing and embracing your identity and the things that you love about it.
I love my Judaism. Eitan, I love, and I've raised beautiful children who've given me lots of nachas, and a son who's made me incredibly proud. And I love my Judaism, and I'm proud, and I am that kind of Jew.
But I'm that Jew that is going to be who I am, openly fight for my identity, inspire others to do the same, and educate our children on what it is to be Jewish. And being Jewish is a beautiful thing, and it's many different things to many different people. But the more that we lean into our identity and commit to it openly, the stronger we will become.
My name is Israel Ellis, and this is The Unfiltered View, a companion to the wake-up call. This is where truth breaks through the noise.
He made a video in 2015 that went viral as a personal response to a friend in France who was afraid to say she was Jewish after the 2015 terrorist attacks at Charlie Hebdo and the hyper-caché kosher supermarket. The 1.8 million views immediately catapulted that I'm that Jew message.
I'm that always writing Jew, that footnote citing Jew, that academic Jew, scholar Jew, that thinking Jew. And let me tell you something, Jew.
That Jew has become a movement that encourages Jews to be proud of who they are, an important message, especially in these times of rising anti-Semitism. His brand has reached millions and sparked global conversations about identity, hate, and Jewish pride. Eitan Chitayat, and I think I got that right, is a Jewish Israeli branding expert, and I am enormously proud to speak with him today. I am Israel Ellis, and this is The Unfiltered View, a companion to the wake-up call. Please show your appreciation for this podcast by liking it, sharing it, and following me on israelellis.com and on Substack. Okay, so, sorry, did I get the name right? Eitan?
Almost.
I got to tell you, I practiced it.
That was good. I mean, I've appeared on Chris Cuomo's show a few times, and he always butchers my name, and I love it. It's very endearing. But Eitan Chitayat, yeah, you were close.
So, okay, let's just give me a quick rundown. Who is Eitan Chitayat?
Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And hello to everyone. I'm really just a regular guy. I'm a father of two, a husband of a wonderful wife. I am Jewish, as you said. I am Israeli, as you said. I was born in Israel, but I grew up in Hong Kong and London. I lived in New York and Boston for many years. I'm back in Tel Aviv now. I am a brand builder. I have my own branding agency called Natie, Natie, and we build international brands. And I guess I have always, in addition to building brands with a lot of companies that are household name companies, I've always been very open about my identity. I'm openly and proudly Jewish. And I think that's what a lot of people know me for. But other than that, I'm a family guy that lives in Israel.
I don't want to get this wrong, and I've taken a look at the videos, and I think I get it in my introduction. If I missed anything, I'm that Jew. Just like, what would be the 6 words that describes it? What you've created here.
That's a good question. The 6 words is throwing me the curveball. I'm That Jew is essentially there to help Jewish people feel more comfortable being openly Jewish. That's the mission. That's the goal. The objective is to help Jewish people own their identity more publicly and to empower themselves at the individual level, at the collective community level, and at the allyship level. When we own our identity, we feel good about ourselves, our community strengthens, and our community outside of our community, like our bigger community with people who are not Jewish, also get stronger because we own who we are publicly. We embrace who we are publicly. We let people get to know us. We allow people in. These are very, very important things when it comes to identity, and certainly critical things right now with the challenges that the global Jewish population is facing.
And I think that this is critical because there are a lot of people that I come across who are clearly in pain, feeling isolated, feeling alienated, feeling betrayed, and frustrated. And what I find is that, you know, many people out there, a lot of us out there, are feeling this thing inside of us that we can't quite articulate. And we don't know what to do about it. And we've grown up in this sort of generation, at least I have, Eitan, where there's this victim mantra that Jews in the Holocaust went like sheep into the gas chambers. And whether, you know, that mantra is offensive or not, it was the general sort of idea of how 6 million people could have perished. We don't want to feel like sheep who are just being pushed into the gas chamber. And so I think there's that frustration. And you, Eitan, have come out and you've articulated that message. You've given that voice to people. There's a pivotal moment. There is a pivotal moment of action in people's lives. I started writing the wake-up call because I needed to understand how the hell this happened. How did this happen? And so I find that by writing this book, I've given a voice to something. People have appreciated it in the sense that I've articulated something that is deep down, and it helps. It brings comfort. It doesn't make people feel as lost. Tell me about that. Tell me about how you feel when you go up there and talk about I'm that Jew.
I think that expression is critical right now. I think that writing a book, and like you said, you felt this need. I think that's critical to the Jewish people right now, and that's why you're seeing a lot of people with their, you know, personas online, articles, movies. We need to express what we're going through. It's a coping mechanism, and it operates on different levels. One is, okay, I can get it out for me because it'll make me feel better. I need to be heard. I feel lonely. We're all misunderstood. We need to right the wrong, the lies. We need to correct and challenge the lies that are being told about the Jewish people. There are so many things that are connected to expression and narrative and storytelling, and you wearing your identity on your sleeve for everyone to see right now. And I think that I'm That Jew, as you said at the beginning of the podcast, it actually isn't 1.8 million views. It's around 15 million views on different platforms, and the I'm That Jew work overall has been seen around 300 million times. And I think that one of the things that we have failed at in general as a people over the course of many decades already is the lack of investment in us expressing ourselves openly. When you are able to express yourself openly about who you are, you're kind of making a commitment to the world. You're putting yourself out there and you're saying, this is who I am. I'm that Jew.
And
What
there's
is I'm that Jew?
and there's some anxiety to that. It's not easy to do that. I get this, feeling from having written the book, putting myself out there. I feel like it's not something I wanted to do. It's something I felt I had to do. And the flip side is all this anxiety, like, who the hell am I? It's like this imposter syndrome that I feel from having done it and now doing this podcast. There is an anxious moment, like, what am I doing? And yet I got to keep on reminding myself there's a reason why I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm bringing to the table. And this is the
message. I think that's owning. You're owning something.
So
and it's empowering. And I think that's why Jewish expression is so important, because when anyone expresses something that is important to them, when you express your identity, when you talk about what's important to you, when you challenge things that are being said about you that are not necessarily true, and instead you talk about who you are, what really is happening, what is really going on, you feel like you are owning it in the public space. Now, when you do something like that, when you make that type of commitment in the outside world, like what you're doing, a book and a podcast, and showing yourself, as opposed to not doing it publicly, well, which one makes you feel stronger? Let's not talk about fear, because the fear is there, but which one makes you feel stronger? What makes you feel stronger is when you express, and that is because you're doing it for yourself. First and foremost, you're doing it for your self-preservation of identity and who you are, I feel. Secondly, you're doing it for your community. When you're doing something like this and you're speaking openly, you're making bonds with other people who are also in your community, and that makes your community stronger. And when then the people who are outside of your community who are not Jewish, for example, but they align with what you're saying because they have the same values as you, then you get stronger together. The reason why I'm that Jew is so important, and what you're doing by expressing your Jewish identity is so important, in my opinion, is it's a step towards reclaiming something that has been hijacked, which is our identity. I'm that Jew is a way of saying, this is my statement, this is who I am, this is what I am all about. I define it very differently to Israel right now, because we're different people, but we're both Jewish. I own my identity, you own your identity, but together we're Jewish. Together, if you're not Jewish, we follow the same values. Enough with the lies. You're owning it.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to be who you are, right? I mean, like let's get it out.
No, I actually don't. I don't think that it's. You can be afraid. I think you can be afraid. It's scary, but it's a choice. And that's power. You have a choice to do what you want to do, or you have the choice to not do what you want to do. I think people need to remind themselves, especially in our community, that we have a choice. And yes, it is scary, but life is not easy. What do we do about it? And I think that from making that choice, do I say that I'm Jewish? Do I wade into this conversation? Do I say that I have to leave work at this hour because it's Yom Shishi, it's Friday, I want to go to a Shabbat meal? Do I say I'm sending my kids for the summer to Israel? These are things that people shy away from because they're scared, and that's natural. But you have a choice.
So I want
to wear this shirt. Are you going to wear that, Megan David? Are you going to speak about it openly? That's the choice.
It's funny you say that, because I'm going to read you two things from my book, and this is the last paragraph of my book. I'm not going to sit here and read you the whole book, but I'm just going to say, looking back in my rearview mirror, I now understand what being persecuted means. The echo of the words of the last people of a generation of modern persecution leaves us with witness to what could be and must never happen again. I need not apologize for my birth, my land, my history, and the truth. My name is Israel. Do you have a problem with that? And that's the last sentence of my book. It's a little bit of a preempt there, but I want to read you from my book, an excerpt from my book, because it's really important. And this is what actually clicked for me when I wrote the book. A middle-aged Sharply dressed, attractive woman notices Limor's my wife, Limor's chai and Star of David necklace. She leans towards my wife and whispers, Shalom. She pulls back and winks as if we are part of some secret society. Why so shy and quiet? My wife asks the woman. Well, you know, she says, you can never be too careful. Of what? Limor asks. We have to stick together, the woman says. And by way of explanation, she tells us that she's an unaffiliated Jew living in tiny Ontario. It's actually a small town called that. And she has never felt both connected and in fear until now. This seemingly ordinary interaction made me pause for thought. Is this where we are? Jews needing to secretly identify themselves to other Jews in such a clandestine fashion? It's kind of this whole idea of Jews that are hiding in a way, that they're shy, and they're shy of putting out their Mogen Davin. Just the other day, I got into the elevator and this woman sees me and she takes out her chai and she says, I have a Star of David and a chai too. And I find it really interesting. I find it interesting. I find it sad that we've come to this point. I find it exciting that we're here and that people have this new pride. This I am a Jew is really not just about sort of the saying the words, but it's this new sort of invigorated pride that's come. But when I was writing the book, it made me think for a second, are people actually embarrassed? Are people hiding? Are we back into hiding that we're Jewish? So there's a lot of that complexity going on right now. Can you talk to that?
I think that the Jewish people, I don't know about the word hiding, but we've assimilated. And when you say assimilation, people usually think, oh, it's marriage. I don't mean assimilation with marriage, which is a whole subject. I mean culturally. I feel like the Jewish people, we've assimilated culturally, and that's a good thing. We should assimilate, but not to the point where you do not feel comfortable expressing openly who you are. And the failure is in that assimilation has led to a loss of real Jewish identity, meaning you have a lot of kids in the West who don't really understand what it is to be Jewish. And that's not their bad. It's our bad as a community that we haven't invested in telling our children and educating our children, not just about what it is to be Jewish, but the importance of being open about it too. And when that happens over the course of decades, which has been the case, this assimilation, this loss of identity to the point where kids don't even know how to express what Jewish is for them, then you have a problem. And it's exacerbated by one other problem, which is when the people who are out there trying to demonize and destroy the reputation of the Jewish people with narrative, their own narrative, when they do that and we don't invest in ours, then there's a void that they fill in with their narrative. And then people start saying bad things about us. And then those Jewish people who don't know how to express their identity, they're like, well, what do we say? Well, we haven't really been who we are open. And people, this is controversial, but I really believe it's true. Yes, Jewish people, there are many Jewish people who are open about their identity. They're very loud and proud Jews. But that's not the majority, and it's not even half. Most of us tend to just step back. I mean, a black man or a black woman, they're black. You're going to see that they're black. Okay. An Asian, it's the same thing. A Jew can kind of blend in, which is fine. But then if you kind of like don't make it a point to make people understand who you are and what your identity is and how important that is to you, then people who hate you and who have an agenda will take advantage of that. And that's happened at scale for many, many years. And you as an entrepreneur, I imagine you know this very well. If your company doesn't have a voice, if it's not out there, for people to see who you are based on what you're telling them about who you are, then your competition might destroy you. They'll take you down.
It's all in articulating the message that in a very short period tells people, who you are. And I think when you say I'm that Jew, if you talk about the branding identity, I think the world does have a preconceived notion of what a Jew is. The world is holding us to this higher moral standard, but it's more than that too. And I think that the idea of being proud to be Jewish is important. It's extremely important, especially now. But what is happening is that people are hiding. And you talk about the impetus for I'm That Jew that happened in 2015. Eitan, I was there in 2015 on November 13th, during the November 13th massacre. And I talk about this in my book. I talk about standing just crying at the Café Bon Air and just seeing all the flowers pile up and seeing the damage and the blood and then just shaking my head, just saying, just why? And it wasn't a Jewish thing like this, the thing that your friend had anxiety over experiencing, but it was about radical jihadism that brought it to this point, which is completely indiscriminate in terms of the global jihad. And so I just wanted to just bring that up and tell you that, sort of I understand that anxiety, but definitely when I'm traveling, when I'm in Europe, I'm not wearing my kippah. I'm wearing a baseball cap if I am, and I'm just not feeling comfortable about it. And when my kids, and we ask them not to be outwardly, we're worried. And the idea of identity, yes, we can identify, but people shouldn't have to walk around worried. And that's what's happened. And there's sort of this mix of being out there, but also, being concerned of my kids being out there. Me, I'll walk down the street proudly displaying my Magen David, my Golani necklace. But when my kids do it, I'm like, hey, you got to hide that Jewishness. Please be careful.
And as a father, how absolutely wrong that is, while it's absolutely right. Meaning, boy, it sucks to tell our kids to hide their identity because we're worried about them. But of course, it's completely understandable and completely makes sense that you would be worried. And that's the challenge. I think that when kids see us not being openly Jewish, and it doesn't matter what the reason is, honestly, right now, let's forget about the reasons. There are lots of reasons for lots of things, but I like dividing things into the what and the how. The what is we need to be more openly Jewish. How we do it, that's a challenge, but we need to get there because it sends the wrong message to our children when we tell them to hide their identity. At the same time, I get it. And I've been in the same situation too. I think it's there's some situations where look, I'm That Jew is a movement. It's a growing movement. I'm actually scaling this to turn it into an organization, and I'm fundraising right now to allow people to feel more comfortably Jewish with an education vertical, a content vertical, with a merchandise vertical, with all sorts of things. And I'm hoping that the more that we can build this, then the easier it will be to get people en masse to be able to say, I'm that Jew. Well, what does that mean? It's an invitation really to it's an invitation to a conversation. When you are wearing something like this, or when you say that you're Jewish, or you're going somewhere Jewish, or when you're open about it, then you're allowing people to get to know you. And I think that that's absolutely mandatory right now. And you have to find the ability within yourself, I believe, to be proactive about doing that, as opposed to hiding as the default or not going there as the default. We've become, as a Jewish people around the world, too comfortable because of the assimilation. And now this is about discomfort. What you just said, not wanting to go up, shying away from being public. It's uncomfortable, but we have to get uncomfortable because I believe that is good for our children. The worst case scenario, we know what that could be by being openly Jewish, but it also isn't in every single situation at all. But the more that we can do it together en masse, the better it is. Why not? If black people are wearing Black Lives Matter shirts and non-black people are wearing, and white people are wearing Black Lives Matter shirts, right? You don't need to be gay to wear a pride shirt. Every year, for so many years, during Pride Month, we would change our logo to a rainbow logo. And I'm not gay, and my wife is not gay. We do it because we're supportive. How wonderful would it be if you had a Jewish brand that people start to understand who the Jewish people are, and they embrace who we are by wearing solidarity with us.
I
But
hear you.
we need to be brave. We need to be brave, and it takes bravery. It's not easy, but it's necessary.
This is a great segue into the betrayal of the Jew, because there is a tremendous betrayal that is happening out there in definitely Western society since October 8th. And, I think The Clash coined it best in their 1982 super hit, Should I Stay or Should I Go Now? If I go, there will be trouble. If I stay, there will be double, as a question mark. And I think a lot of Jews right now are definitely feeling this way. And it's a big problem. And a lot of people we talk to are really talking about the fact that they feel unsafe. I don't feel comfortable. I feel unsafe in this world that I've grown up in, and I feel completely betrayed by Canada. And it's really it's a very painful feeling. And in fact, I want to show you something, and I'm going to see if I can share this with you, if I can figure out the technical thing of doing this. But there is a website right now, and it's called, and let me just see if I can do it. Okay, I think I could do it. Here we go. The website, if we're seeing it up there right now, the website is called Find IDF Soldiers. It's a Canadian company, a Canadian journalist or newspaper. And what they've done is they've accumulated information on lone soldiers from Canada. And, it's even more disgusting that two of these lone soldiers died who were fighting in Gaza. And one of them is gravely ill right now, who's suffered a head injury. It is just so disgusting that that our governments lack the agency to shut this down. And here's my son who lives in Tel Aviv. I think that he's with us today. And this is Eitan. Eitan, meet Eitan. And
hi! I didn't know.
And
nice to meet you.
I'm sorry. Just that I was able to get.
You got a great name.
I was able to get Aviv to loop in Eitan. Eitan is in Tel Aviv. He is a Chayal, and it's just when I see a list like this that that is obviously inciting hatred and it's sort of creating fear. I just find the betrayal is, really just intense. And so I just wanted to invite Eitan in for a second just to meet you. You both live in Tel Aviv. And Eitan, this is Eitan. This is getting tired. And he's
Which one are you
Jew.
saying it to?
Eitan, he's that Jew. But, Eitan, how do you feel about this list? You're in Israel. You come from Canada. You see that the Canadian government won't shut this down. I've spoken to so many people. Shut this fucking thing down. And how do you feel when you see something like that? You are that soldier Jew, by the way. You are that soldier Jew.
One of many. Yeah. So look, I've kind of mixed feelings about it, right? Like when I first saw the list, it was because I had countless people both in Canada and in Israel send me the link, just see that I've seen it, that I'm on this list, and we kind of made a big joke out of it, right? Because I live in Israel, I've made my life in Israel, I don't even live in Canada, right? So these people who made this list, if they want to get on a flight and come to Israel and have a garden, sure. So I guess personally, what really affected me is that my family still lives in Canada, right? My parents, my siblings, and I was worried that this would, kind of encourage hatred against my family, especially when I'm not there to protect them, or be a part of that. Something that also really bugs me about it is that I'm third generation Canadian. My dad was born in Canada. My grandfather was born in Canada. So who are they to say that I should feel uncomfortable in a country that my family has been in for well over 100 years? And when we say the word betrayal, I think that's what it's referring to, right? The Canadian government is going to these incredible means to defend groups of people who have not given nearly enough to the country as my family has, as the Jewish immigrants have, who have come hungry, ready, eager to build generations, contribute to society around them. Why are we not being defended? Right? Why are these people
I
who
think
come
that's
in?
the key. It's regardless of who brought what to the table, because we are here where we are today, and no one deserves to be publicly for hatred to be incited against them and to be publicly identified in a negative way. But
Right.
what I want to kind of get to, Eitan Chitayat, is sort of when you talk about I'm that Jew, and here you have a guy that is I'm that soldier, I am that IDF soldier, and a lot of people have made some good fun with this list in the sense that, hey, I'm number 20. What are you, Eitan? Number 22 or something? I'm number
Something like
21.
that. I'm not sure.
So what do you think of that, Eitan? Not Eitan Chitayat. I'm that Jew. What do you think of that in terms of lists coming up as a betrayal of the Jew? How should Jews sort of deal with that? How do we deal with
To me,
that?
the answer is, I think to me, the answer is obvious. I mean, I think that this whole it's unfair and we don't deserve, it's getting tiring for me to hear that, personally. All right, it is what it is. This is life. No one said it would be easier. It's like, remember what I said about the what and the how. Okay, so people are attacking the Jewish people. What do we do about it? It's just like, what's the action? I feel that take them on. I feel that the Jewish community has to do something that it hasn't done in many, many, many years, which is it needs to invest in itself. It needs to find the dangers in the quiet times. This thing didn't just happen, Israel. It didn't just happen. This thing has been an accumulation and a consistent pushing, a visionary push of hatred towards a community and a country over the course of many, many, many hundreds of years, but specifically with us in our lifetime, let's just say lifetime, the past 100 years. And I just don't understand what everyone is so fucking surprised about. When you don't invest in showing your Canadian brothers and sisters and bigger family about who you are as a community, because you've either assimilated to the point where you're just like everyone, or you've done the opposite. You've isolated yourself. I think that, and I'm certainly not blaming anti-Semitism on the Jewish people. I'm saying that there is something real out there.
So you're saying
requires us.
it shouldn't surprise us that this list exists, that people are doing this stuff. We shouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, 5 years ago, Kanye was saying what he was saying, and I was putting up banners saying "fuck Kanye." I made "I'm That Jew" 12 years ago in response to Jewish people being shot up at a kosher supermarket in France, and I think that that there is a real hatred out there that we are all aware of, but that hatred doesn't just, it's not just, oh my God, we're at war, they hate us. No, they've been hating us for a long time, and we've allowed them to dictate to the rest of the world who we are through words, through media, through perception, through branding, through literature and organizations. Wonderful. What have we done about it in the bigger scheme of things, besides a few people who have done things here and there? But at the collective Jewish community level, what have we done about that? Jack shit. And I'm not saying that to put Jewish leadership down, which I always make a point to say this, the idea is not to demonize. The idea is not to throw people under the bus and to say that you suck. The idea here is to say one area where Jewish organizations and Israel has failed at the leadership level is not making who we are so that we can better get to know each other as Jewish people like this, and outside of the Jewish community, that they can get to better know us, that we haven't made that something that is critical. And we're still not making it something that is critical. Things will die down. Things will hopefully, there's an ebb and flow with anti-Semitism. The thing that scares me the most is the apathy of the Jewish people. And I'm not saying the Jewish person in the street. I'm saying the Jewish people as a collective to not prioritize making sure that people know who we are, what we're about, what our values are, what drives us, what is not true about us, and to wear our identity openly. That is the best antidote to anti-Semitism and Jew hatred, is people fighting for their identity. And I think that when I hear or I see things like this, which of course I'm sorry about that, Eitan, and kol hakavod to you for serving and for having such a proud dad. I think I wish more Jewish people around the world would invest more time in fighting in the Jewish arena with whatever it is that they're good at. So I'm a brand builder and I'm a proud Jew. I have nothing to hide. So I'm going to build a brand. Here's a lawyer. He's a proud Jew. He's going to lawyer up and he's going to take these on with another 9 lawyers, and they're going to take 20% of their professional lives and dedicate it to getting this shit off of the internet. That's not politics. That's narrative. That's storytelling. That's pushing back on lies that people are reading. No one invests in that in the Jewish world that I'm aware of. I don't think that many people understand that it's not. It's really about telling people. And I want people to do more. I want people to get off their asses and to do more. And there are a lot of people doing a lot of amazing things. A lot of people that I know, but it needs to be built as a long-term strategic objective to never let anyone hijack our narratives again. The Canadian Jewish community needs to do more. The American Jewish community needs to do more. Our allies need to do more. But here's the thing. Who's going to do it if we don't speak up? Always. Not like when there's a fucking crisis.
I got to ask you, what's motherfucker about?
Shalom, motherfucker?
Yeah.
Oh, that the piece I made was actually, that was around 13 years ago during a war with Hamas, when a friend of mine or a colleague of mine on Facebook made some pretty anti-Semitic remarks, and I just deleted him off Facebook. And he wrote to me and he said at the time, as a Jew, you should understand that genocide is never justified. All these years ago when he was accusing us of genocide with the Palestinians. And so I sat down and I wrote a piece and I ended it with Shalom motherfucker. And the point of the piece was, if you are buying into these lies without having the class to reach out to me as a Jew living in Israel and asking me what my opinion is as I'm holding my baby in a bomb shelter and people are trying to kill me, then Shalom motherfucker, you're not a friend of mine.
I love it. I love it.
But that's not to say that that's the response for everyone. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that we have to explain who we are.
I think it's the response for that guy who wrote that list, though, for sure.
Well, I think we can all learn a lot from what Dave Portnoy did this week, the owner of Barstool Sports.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah,
of course. That's the way to do it.
What do you do?
So he owns a bar, and it's this big company, Barstool Sports. So one of their businesses, they own a bar in Philadelphia. The CEO, the founder, is a Jewish guy named Dave Portnoy. One of the waitresses, and here's the most messed up thing about this whole thing to me, is how mainstream Jew hatred has become, how comfortable everyday people feel openly being anti-Semitic. So one of his waitresses held up this big neon sign that just said, "Fuck the Jews." That's it. For no reason. A white girl, a 19-year-old pretty white girl, just walk around this bar, fuck the Jews, like as if she'd rather live like under a
should
tree.
not be doing
Doesn't
that.
make any sense. So what did he do? Right? Obviously, everyone was fired, and now he's sponsoring a trip for every single person involved, and he's sending them to Auschwitz. Not as not sending them to Auschwitz. He's sending them on a tour.
I have to correct you. Just he's retracted that because the deal was that the person who made the sign "fuck the Jews," he got a hold of him and he had a chat with him, and he was going to go crazy on the guy, and then he said, you know what, let's turn this, like you said, into a teaching moment. Why didn't you go to Auschwitz with the other person that you did this with or something, and it'll be a teaching moment. And he announced that. Dave Portnoy announced that. But then a day later, he said, you know what? I have to take it back because this guy, after I talked with him, is now denying that he ever did it. But the point that you're making, Eitan, is important, which is, listen, Dave Portnoy I've discovered that he's a controversial figure. People accuse him of misogyny and being anti-gay. And to be honest with you, I don't know much about him. I see his one bite, everyone knows the little pizza stuff, and I love it.
Yeah.
But this response that he did was unapologetic, public, immediate, and full force. Full force. And it's open, meaning he didn't do it quietly. So people can say what they want about Dave Portnoy, and I can hear them on many things. But about this, when someone does something which is, and these are kids and they're idiots, but they're being brainwashed by people and they're going with the flow, they're going with the trend.
It's coming from somewhere.
That's what I said. It's a visionary narrative that has been invested in with billions of dollars from enemies that want to see the Jewish people gone. And we can talk about that as well. But with what he did is he came out and he attacked and he's going after them. And that's what you guys need to do with this site. And if anyone's listening to this, if there are people in Canada that understand, people need to get on this and take it down and fight and fight and fight and fight and to keep fighting and to always fight. That is the lesson. But
yeah,
and I just want to say one more thing, Israel, if I may. Yeah. In the public arena, meaning I want to say I'm that Jew to my Jewish brothers and sisters. That's who I wrote it for. I wrote it to that woman, really. It was a letter to her. And the idea of what I'm building now is the same. It's the same idea. It's to embrace the Jewish people, but embrace them so that we can be louder and prouder, so that we can get stronger as a community and do things like this with the help of our allies who understand what the values of I'm That Jew are. Hard work, family, assimilating with the culture that you live in and respecting it, the values of the Torah, all sorts of wonderful things. That's what we need to do. We need to fight publicly. And I hope that there are people listening to this who will reach out to you, Israel and Eitan, and say, I'm going to volunteer to help go after these people. That's the way.
And Eitan,
accountability.
Yeah. And when you talk about accountability, and one of the things that Eitan and I've discussed when this whole list came up, he was guarding a humanitarian corridor that was bringing food that Hamas would take so that they could feed in other days, so that they could re-energize to attack him. And it was pretty tough. What did you say to me? You don't know if there's a bullet with your name on it. You don't know if there's a bullet coming for you, but I never expected this kind of bullet that would come for me. And that really tore at my heart. That just, to do that to my son.
Sure.
To put him on a fucking list. And that the Canadian government and no politician that I've spoken to can do anything about it because they don't have the agency, they don't have the legislative powers. There have been charges laid for all these protests that are happening here in downtown and what have you, but not one charge, not one conviction, because there is no legislation, because we have been totally betrayed. But I want to talk about the organizations, the Jewish organizations as well. When you talk about, we're sort of talking about what's going on outside. I want to talk about what's going on inside too. Because on October 8th, on October 7th, our enemies were watching. They were watching this terrible division of the Jewish people.
Sure.
And I've got to question myself. We have organizations, the Jewish Federations. Jewish federations are responsible collectively for over $2 billion raised for everything from lobby efforts and going into communities. And I got to ask myself, have our organizations failed us? Have our politicians failed us? Has our country failed us in the sense of this division of the Jew? And that we can't get this, we cannot get that an organization like the UJA here in Toronto cannot get this website shut down. And I think that's a shunduk. These are our soldiers who we pray for every Shabbat. We say a Mishaberach for. And not one person in this community can take care of that. And that is shameful. And I just wonder, I have to ask myself, are we where we are at today because we have failed, because our organizations have failed? There are and Eitan, I know you've been in Toronto and you've seen this because you've had you've seen there's been a lot of splinter groups that have developed getting I'm that Jew out there, getting our identity out there, because I think our organizations have become too bureaucratic. They've become too conservative. They've become too established, too institutionalized. They are not doing what they need to be doing to protect that Jew, that soldier, that person. And that's something that I think is worth talking about.
I'm very careful. I don't know Jewish organizations well enough. A lot of people, they see my work for Jewish advocacy and they think I'm maybe a professional Jewish advocate, and I'm not. Remember, I'm a family guy. I have a branding agency, and I'm a proud Jew. But I don't know Jewish organizations in terms of the way that they operate. I mean, I branded the Jewish Agency for Israel under Nathan Sharansky, the global brand, and I've worked with Birthrights and with all sorts of Jewish organizations. But as someone who is in the know, when it comes to Jewish organizations, I'm still learning. I think Jewish organizations do incredible work. In many amazing things. But when it comes to strengthening our people and uniting our people, Jewish organizations and Jewish leadership has failed catastrophically. And again, that's not to throw anyone under the bus. That is to just say it like it is. And I think that we need to start saying it like it is, not to demonize and not to shit on people, but to say, okay, this has not been good. What do we do now? What do we do to make it better? And one thing where I feel that Jewish organizations need to invest in is uniting the Jewish community. And I'm trying to do that because I don't think anyone else really is in an organized way. If you think about what I'm That Jew says, is you can be a Sephardic Jew and you can be an Ashkenazi Jew. I mean, there are lots of populations, also in Canada, I believe, where the Sephardic community doesn't really know the Ashkenazi community. There's also, Democrat Jews and Republican Jews that they can't speak to each other. Well, we'll get to know each other. There are more modern Orthodox Jews and there are gay Jews. There are all sorts of Jews, and we need to get to know each other. If you wear an I'm That Jew, I'm not saying the T-shirt, but if you understand what's behind, the script, this is the script of I'm That Jew, it's very inclusive, meaning we're all different. We all have our unique personalities. Like I'm that father of two Jew, I'm that brand building Jew, I'm that Lego building Jew, I'm that loving Prince music Jew. I'm all sorts of things, but I decide who I am, and I can get to know you as well. And let's get to know each other. I'm that Jew that wants you to get to know me too. And by knowing each other, we'll get stronger. And the Jewish organizations need to understand that we need right now to empower the individual with identity, storytelling, creative expression, events, so many different things, and to make that a priority because it will empower you, the individual, it will strengthen us as a community, and it will bring allies on board, like I said before. But it's a long play. It's something that, if you look at our enemies, they had a vision. They invested billions of dollars in that vision.
over
They
a
targeted
period of time, over a long period of time.
over decades, which is
Yeah.
what you do when you build a narrative. That's how
And
Nike
we
got
just
to where it is.
asleep at the wheel.
No, but see, we weren't asleep at the wheel. A lot of people, this has like the shit on campus that you've been seeing. You know, if you look at Avi Goldwasser's film, Hate Spaces, or Columbia Unbecoming, which were made 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, about what was going on campuses. This is known, but it wasn't a priority. It wasn't critical, and I think that's where Jewish organizations have failed, and they are bureaucratic. So what's the antidote? The antidote is to get behind people, and it's not just me. There are other people in different sectors who are coming up from the private sector with different, innovative, quick down and dirty, let's just do it ways that organizations can get behind, because they have the money, they have the database with the people, they have the I'm trying to raise $1.4 million right now, and I know what I'm doing is working. 300 million views of people being openly Jewish and owning it and getting invited to stuff like this. It's working. Not one Jewish organization has really called me to leverage the message. And I think that that's what needs to happen. People start to look at what's working, get behind those people. And if the private sector and if the person on the street like you sees value in it, then
I'm going to tell you, Eitan, I think
you know what I'm saying.
I do, and I think the answer lies in funding of universities, and that one of the things is that universities should not be allowed to accept fundings from countries that do not complement our democratic or humanitarian values, and that's kind of what's happened over the last several years. What did we expect? When did we expect all this money coming from?
Exactly. Why are you so surprised?
Where do you think that money was going to? Eitan Ellis, what kind of Jew are you? You learned a lot about different Jews by going into the army. That was that melting pot. What kind of Jew are you?
Kind of Jew am I? I mean, look, I'm a 28-year-old Jew. I'm
About to get married.
I'm just a young guy trying to figure it out. I'm getting married next month, Bezrat Hashem. Thank you. I feel like that will definitely change what kind of Jew I am, in a certain regard, responsibility level and what have you. I'm a very proud Jew. I mean, I was raised in a community of proud Jews, and that's what led me to take this unconventional path and not go to college with all my friends right after high school, and to come here and crawl around in the sand for a few years with my new family.
But you did have to go to university afterwards.
I did go afterwards, but that's okay. I checked the box and I have a fancy paper on the wall.
I think that what you said right now, which is really important, is that I'm a proud Jew, and I want to bring it back to what I'm trying to get people to understand, that pride doesn't just happen. You don't just wake up one day and you're a proud Jew. This type of pride comes with knowing and embracing your identity and the things that you love about it. And I think that that's what we need to do. And that doesn't mean only biblical studies and Judaism. It's also, like I said before, our values. Like I sat down with a guy today, and all he was talking about was mitzvot, mitzvot, mitzvah, mitzvah, mitzvot. To do good, to make something better, not just for us, for anyone. That's a part of our culture and our heritage, and that comes from the laws of God and the Torah, whether you're religious or not, because you can be a fantastic Jew without even believing in God. Those are the things that shape your identity, and then it leads to pride. So what we need to do, and I think the solution is here, is no one's going to change anything, guys, unless we care enough about our identity. And when we care enough about our identity, then we'll do things to defend our identity, and we'll just do it as second nature. That message needs to be sent. And going back to what you said, Israel, is like that message needs to come from, it needs to be proactive. It needs to be pushed, as opposed to send your kid to Israel, which is amazing. And people should send their kids to Israel. But like,
I want to share, Eitan, I want to share with you something. And this is just, I know we're closing. I got two more questions for you, but I just want to share something with you. And Eitan, my son Eitan, was joining the Israeli army, and for us, that was like, are you kidding? Like it was not a good time in our house during this period of time when he decided this is what I'm going to do with my life. And Eitan turned to me.
Eitan, I did the same thing, by the way. When I was 19, I volunteered from England, and I volunteered. I came to Israel and I served in the army. Yeah.
And Eitan
So sorry, go ahead, Israel.
No, it's okay. And this is kind of important. It's very relevant for you. Eitan came to me and he said, Abba, he said, I can't be that Jew if I stay here at home and I don't go there to defend my home. And, that's after that, there was no argument from me. And I just, was just blown away by, the 17-year-old speaking to me with such honesty. Eitan, it is because of you and people like you and the people who have served so valiantly, especially since October 7th. And I know that you've seen a lot of stuff and we've talked about a lot of things. But I can be this Jew here. Eitan can be that Jew there. And everyone in this world can be that Jew because you, Eitan, and other lone soldiers who've sacrificed everything, and all the IDF soldiers, the young men and women and reservists who've come out there, because we have Israel and because we have you there, we can be that Jew. So, Toda Rabah and Kol, an unbelievable kol hakavod to all of you.
Kol hakavod, Eitan. באמת, kol hakavod.
My pleasure.
Listen,
and I said the same thing to my dad, by the way. I remember going to my dad and my mom and saying, I was ready to go into colleges. I had applied and I said, I want to go back home. And they said, you want to serve? And I was like, yeah, I want to serve. I want to do my bit. And then I served, and on the day that I served, Iraq invaded. On the day that I enlisted, Iraq invaded Kuwait, and there was the Gulf War, and I was in it.
Wow.
The Scuds. That was the beginning of the interballistic missile age that Israel. That was the first time that Israel was dealing with ICBMs.
And it was terrifying because we, and now at this stage we know that there were no chemical missiles launched, but every time they were, we were absolutely terrified that this was the end. Sure. So we are, it is what it is. There are people out there that will hate us, and there are people that have an agenda, and the odds are stacked against us. But I'm that Jew that is going to be who I am, openly fight for my identity, inspire others to do the same, and educate our children on what it is to be Jewish. And being Jewish is a beautiful thing, and it's many different things to many different people. But the more that we lean into our identity and commit to it openly, the stronger we will become. And of course, this doesn't mean wading into a crowd of Hamas supporters like I did at Concordia a year ago.
Right.
But to think about the fact that you have a choice, and that's a value of that's also, you have a choice. You can do this or you can do that. What is the right thing to do for you? Self-preservation, take care of yourself. So I commend you, Eitan, for your service. I think it's a lovely story, Israel, that you brought your son on.
Okay, we're closing over here.
Yeah,
you've got to run. So I got a couple of last questions for you. So, Eitan, if you could speak to the U.S. president, to Donald J. Trump, if you could speak to the Canada's newly minted Prime Minister of the illiberal Liberals, if you had something, Mark Carney, that's his name, if you had one message that you wanted to say to them, if you could stand up in the Knesset in Israel, which may be different messages, what would those messages be? What would you say?
It's funny. I don't usually talk about politics. I just don't like it because I'm not, and it's all like, what would you say to this political leader or the Knesset? Abroad, I would say, stand for the Jewish people. What are you doing to stand with the Jewish people and our values, which are aligned with yours. That's what I would say. In the Knesset, I would say, stop fucking dividing this country. Get your shit together. Get us out of the gutter because you're all embarrassing me. That's what I would say to my country. And I think that non-Israelis, Jewish people in the diaspora need to hear that things here are not good. Not with the government, not with the opposition, not with the religious, not with the extreme left, the extreme right. Enough. Even in Israel, I'm that Jew. You know, you get a lot of Israelis that say, "Azov oti, ani lo yada. Azov oti Yehudi and Israeli. Like, leave me alone. I'm not Jewish, I'm Israeli." If you're not, there's no Israel without Jewish. You know, people here in Israel, the Knesset, the politicians need to start uniting and seeing the bigger picture. And I mean everyone, every single one, no matter who you support, everyone. And leaders abroad need to stand by their Jewish communities, and Jewish leaders abroad, which is interesting that you didn't ask me that, because that was the thing I wanted to say. What are you doing to unite the Jewish people and to make us stronger? And that's not just Jewish leadership. That's a message to all Jewish people. What are you doing? You wrote a book. You served in the army. Great. But this is ongoing. It's forever. You don't get to write a book and stop. You don't get to serve in the army and just stop. Being Jewish is a commitment for life. You know, so we need to always stand up for who we are, celebrate who we are, call out the stuff that is not good that we do sometimes. And I would say, what are you doing about that? Because we all need to step up. It's not going to happen from leadership. It's going to happen from people like you, Eitan, and people like you, Israel, from the public sector. When the war happened here, who came to the rescue? It was the Jewish people and also many allies. It was the Jewish people. It was the people of the diaspora. It was the people in Israel. And Jewish organizations facilitated and helped and did a lot. But ultimately, it's the people that are going to make a difference. And everyone can make a difference. Everyone can do something, whatever it is that you're good at. If you're an artist, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a teacher, if you're in advertising, if you're a journalist, it doesn't matter what you do. You can all do more to serve your people, and you need to now. That's what I would say to Jewish people around the world.
We get the message. And
Absolutely.
in fact, it was on my list. I was going to ask you, what is your message to every Jew? But I figured I am a Jew. I'm a Jew. I'm that Jew. That is the message. But no, you've just said it. You got to act. Don't be passive.
Act.
Don't think that someone else is going to take care of things. Don't bury your head.
I'm not building this thing to just wear a fancy t-shirt. I'm building this thing to give people hope, because through hope comes action, and through action comes strength, and through strength we can right the wrong with our allies, and we need to do that.
Thank you for giving me that strength, Eitan, because there's many times where I do question, what it is that I'm doing. What have I gotten myself into? And where is it going? And I have no idea where it's going. Now I'm doing podcasts. I don't know where else it goes. But the whole idea is that we have to be involved. We have to be I take example from my son. He turned down a lot of trappings in life. He could have enjoyed himself and quite a bit more than he had.
I've enjoyed myself plenty. Don't you worry.
No, I'm sure. You're in Israel. It's great. Well, if I may just say one more thing, it's what you're actually doing. What you said about yourself is you're doing what's important to you. You're being who you are. If we strip away the podcast, you're doing what you want to do. What did Eitan do? He's doing what he wants to do. And the next step is openly, more openly, more. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing. I'm not knocking anyone else down. This is what is what I am all about. And that gives you strength. So I don't buy that you don't know what you're doing. You're answering your own calling. And I think that the more you lean into that, the better that you will feel. And I think we all need to do more of that. And the people that are a little bit more passive, stop. We have to wake up now.
I love my Judaism. Eitan, I love my Judaism, and I've raised my kids. I've raised some beautiful children who've given me lots of nachas, and a son who's made me incredibly proud. And I love my Judaism, and I'm proud, and I am that kind of Jew. So, last question.
Yofi.
Last question. I want to get really personal for a second, Eitan.
So,
My name, Israel, the state of Israel, named after Yisrael, he who struggles with God. Jacob struggled with the angel, and he struggled all night long. And I think we all struggle. Eitan Chitayat. Oh, gosh, that's such a hard name. Could it be Smith? Could it be Smith? All right.
no.
Let me just too easy. What are you struggling with?
Right now, I have been doing this 24/7 for, in October it'll be 2 years. So I literally overnight stopped with my branding agency. I took it down to 10%, and that 10% I perform at 100% because I would never take on clients that I can't give 100% to. And I've invested 90% into strengthening the Jewish people with what I'm trying to do. That has taken a toll on my time with my boys. It's taken a toll with my wife, who is incredible because she is helping me. It's taken a toll with my business network. And mentally and emotionally, I mean, I don't know when the podcast is going out, but 3 days ago, a ballistic missile landed in my airport. And my family members were in an airplane that were half a kilometer away on the ground watching it as it landed. These things are very personal, and it takes a toll. Where I'm really struggling right now in this particular moment is it's not exactly a struggle, but I am fundraising to turn I'm That Jew into the thing that it needs to be. And it's a startup, and it's hard. And it's very hard to explain what we have been lacking in doing, which is pushing narrative. People don't understand, even when I speak to them, how important that is, because they say, well, I'm going to give to get bulletproof vests. And that's a thing that you get, and you can see that your money went there. And I think that that's important to do. But what I'm trying to do is strengthen identity and build hope, give people hope, because hope is the thing. And how do you quantify hope when you're fundraising? That what you feel from something can give you strength to do action. So the challenge is to make people who as I'm trying to raise money, to understand just how critical this is. And had we invested vision and money and expertise in this very specific thing, a lot of things would not look the way that they are. If we had invested in the type of thing that I'm talking about for 20 years, for 30 years, it doesn't mean that October 7th wouldn't have happened. But the silence of October 8th, or what you said at the beginning, is, people don't know how to speak. They don't know what to do. We wouldn't be in that situation. We wouldn't be at each other's necks, hopefully. There's a lot of division within the Jewish community, people putting each other down. So my struggle is to make people understand how important I'm That Jew is, and how I need people's partnership and teamwork and community coming together to support building this thing.
Okay.
That's my struggle right now.
I know that people can go to imthatjew.com and can find out more about you. If people want to donate to your...
Yes, they can there.
Yeah, okay, they can do that over there. That's great. Hey, Eitan...
and it's tax deductible.
Is it? Okay. Do you have a Canadian branch where people can get a tax deductible Canadian receipt?
There is a way to do it. They would need to reach out to me, because I think in Canada it's very difficult. But yes, we have received funding, and we're looking for significant donations.
I want you to put me down for 360 today. Okay, and
thank
so
you.
let me know. Let me know what Canadian organization.
$360,000 or $360?
Liz, I got a wedding I got to pay for, and
Oh,
of
wedding
course,
schmedding. Wedding schmedding.
all right, and so and I want to help you out also in another way too. We have
Okay.
an
Well, thank
organization.
you.
I want to help you out as well in another way. First of all, we have an organization, a company, one of the companies that I'm a founder of, a co-founder of. It's called HireAway.com. After October 7th, and after all of these soldiers were called up, reservists, I asked the question, what are companies doing? They've lost all their support. HireAway.com is an offshore outsourcing company located in the Philippines, and we started a program and we put a budget of $100,000 to help Israeli companies who've been affected by October 7th. And we took on a number of companies and we offered them completely free resources. I'd like you to send me, give me a job description. If you need some resources, if you need some help, Eitan, I'd like to see what we can do to help you out. To alleviate whether it's accounting work or it's project management or it's just calling people for donations. I'd like to give you a resource for a period of time. We can talk about details. Wow. Please send me that information so I could help you out. I know how stressful it is to struggle and to balance family and to balance this need inside of people like you, me, and other people who feel this absolute need that they have to do this or they have to do that. I've been there in business. I'm now there doing this with the Wake Up Call, with my book and the follow-up book that I'm working on now. And now this podcast called The Unfiltered View. I've got an incredibly supportive wife. That would be Eitan's mother, who has to put up with me. And my sort of this passion, this purpose that's because I feel there's a gift that we have. It's called life, and it's called intellect, and it's called morality, hopefully, and that we just have to give. Eitan, my son, he does his own way of giving constantly.
Sure.
So I get that. I understand. I don't know if I could help you with that, but I can tell you that, I mean, Eitan knows he grew up with this, living with a father who's a serial entrepreneur, but I was always home for dinner and always very in touch with my kids. But I know how that is. I know. So Eitan, whatever we can do to support you and people out there, this is Eitan Chitayat. He is that kind of Jew. Did I get that right? Is that I'm getting
You got it perfect. And I think on that note, that's a good way. That's a good way to end. But thank you very much, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it, and of course we'll be in touch. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care. It's been a great.
And Eitan, thank you very much for your service, and I'll be seeing you here somehow.
For your great work and your service. Yeah, we'll see you around.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Take care.
I'm That Jew. Thank you, Eitan Chitayat, for joining the Unfiltered View for this podcast. For more information, visit the official website at imthatjew.com. If you enjoyed this episode of The Unfiltered View, click like and don't keep it to yourself. Share it with others. And don't be shy. Comment and let me know what you think. Connect with me on israelellis.com and register. If you have not done so already, please purchase my book, The Wake Up Call, Global Jihad and the Rise of Anti-Semitism in a World Gone Mad, published by Wicked Sun and available on Amazon. Please review the book so others can know what you thought of it. And once again, I thank you for tuning in and not tuning out. This has been another episode for The Unfiltered View. My name is Israel Ellis, and this is The Unfiltered View, a companion to the Wake Up Call. This is where truth breaks through the noise.